Welcome to Dulcimerica.
All right. Willkommen. Welcome, everybody. Happy Saturday to you. We got two crooked fiddle tunes for you today. Crooked fiddle tunes are fun. They are really hard to figure out by ear because you can't figure out where they go crooked. So tabbing these out was a real pain in the butt because you kind of have to do math and then figure it all out backwards. Basically, a crooked fiddle tune or crooked tune is a tune that's got uneven time signatures. Sometimes you've got a 4/4 tune and there are a couple of measures of 2/4 thrown in there. It might be a construct that's done on purpose, or it might be something remembered wrong, or it might be a leftover from European influences and dances in different times that people weren't familiar how to write down what that particular schottisch was, or that particular dance, and when they squared it up in 4/4 time, it ended up with leftover measures. Nobody really knows, I don't think, and all the research I've done has drawn up a big goose egg. I do know this: it's a crooked tune and it's not square, which means you've got leftover steps if you're a clogger or a square dancer. And if you try and play a crooked tune for them, they will fall all over themselves trying to figure out what went wrong. And then when they realize it's you, you're in deep doo-doo. I know a couple of people who purposely put crooked tunes into the set lists and just watches the dancers as they just, what's going on? No, it's you. No, it's you. Anyway, so I got two great crooked fiddle tunes for you. And the first one is going to require us to retune into D, G, D. So we're going to take that middle string, if you're in DAD right now, we'll take that middle string down from A to G. If you don't have a tuner, you can just go to the bass string at the 3rd fret and press that down. You'll get a G and tune the middle string to match that. D, G, D. This is going to put us in the key of G. And some people call this reverse Ionian. You can actually use this to play Ionian tab, DAA tab. Play it on the melody string just like you do anything else, but the drones now will match what you're playing.
Hey, Ben?
Yeah.
Is this going to be a Patreon?
Yep. Yeah, looser. Don't go tighter, whatever you do. You'd have a way to go from A before you snapped. You'd get to about E and then maybe a little E, maybe into F before it would snap. So just be warned about that. Depending on the strings you got. If you're using those terrible featherweight .007s, who knows? You could probably go on to 2 octaves. All right. This first tune is a wonderful tune that I learned from Don Petty out of North Carolina. It's called The Old Black Cat Couldn't Catch a Rat. It's from Yancey County. And it's a neat little tune, and it's got just a few little words to it, which I'll sing along. And those words will actually help you when you're strumming through that part. But I'll go ahead and I'll play it for you right now. The Old Black Cat Couldn't Catch a Rat. 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 Tell me, little boy, what you think of that. Old black cat couldn't catch a rat. Old black cat couldn't catch a rat. Old black cat couldn't catch a rat. Tell me, little girl, what you think of that. And there it is. Whenever you're looking at somebody else's tablature, it's always a good idea to really deeply survey the situation and make sure that you know where everything is and how you're going to approach it before you play it through the first time. We would love to be able to sight read things, but what happens is if you miscalculate something and you don't do it right, muscle memory doesn't care that you're doing a dry run. It records all of that information. So if you bobble your fingers or you don't use the right fingers or you have to switch the strings, that's something that you have to now unlearn and then relearn the correct information. So this is a process I do all the time when I go through somebody else's tablature. Number one is I check the key signature. Now, funnily enough, the key signature is wrong for this piece because we are actually in the key of G with the new tuning. So the two sharps, F sharp and C sharp, don't really apply. We're not playing C sharp, we're playing C natural in that case. But do take a look at the time signature. This is where it gets interesting. Of course, we are in 4/4 time. That means the top number is 4 beats per measure. The bottom number, the 4, stands for the quarter note. It's what gets the beat. So 4 beats per measure, quarter note gets the beat. But as you scroll through the piece, you'll notice at measure number 6, all of a sudden the time signature changes to 2/4. So you're going to be there for 2 beats on that note, and then it goes right back into 4/4. That happens again at measure number 12 in the B section. It also happens at the very end of the piece, so it goes crooked 3 times. So it's crooked in the way it goes crooked, which is kind of funny. So make sure that when you hit that, you change your mindset to being in 2/4 time. That means that half note's going to get its 2 beats, and then boom, you move right on to the next measure. All right, the other thing is to look at our repeats. And so we've got repeat symbols at the beginning of the first measure, leading on up into the 8th measure, which means we'll play everything within those symbols twice. So the A part would be measures 1 through 8, and we are going to play through that twice. And then we move on to the B section, which is measure 9 through 16, and we're going to play everything inside of that twice. So it is still a 16 measure piece. It's just that there are lopsided counts inside of those. And so it doesn't end up square all the way around, and that's what causes the problem for the dancers. All right, here's the next and the final part of exploring this piece. Go through and just put your fingers on every single note. Not a difficult one with this tune. This is, we're playing drone melody here. Nothing really tricky, but do get your head around the rhythms and how long you're going to hold on to each one of those half notes, because it does shift around quite a bit as we move our way through the piece. Go ahead and put your fingers on every single note. Figure out what you're going to use. If you're going to use fingers in sequence to work some of those 8 notes, figure it all out from start to finish. Remind yourself about those measures of 2/4, and then we'll go ahead and we'll play it all together. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, to start things off, we're going to do a number of different things with this piece, so we're going to play the heck out of it. We're just going to have a lot of fun with it. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to play it 1 strum per melody note. So don't put any additional rhythms in there. We're just going to play the melody just as written, because basically we're taking our cue for what to do with our fill-in rhythms from the melody. Every single melody, every song has its own signature rhythm, and that rhythm is derived from the melody itself. Chords can have rhythm, but not as much as melody. And so if we pay attention to the melody, it'll let us know what kind of a backing rhythm to give everything. So we're going to start off by defining that by only playing the melody notes and nothing else, just to get a sense for how it flows. Because I was definitely putting additional stuff in when I was playing it for you earlier. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to give us a full measure in, and then 1 strum per melody note. Here we go. 1, oh, sorry, we've got a count in measure, so I'm going to give us a full measure in, and then 2. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, bum, bum, bum. Okay, 1 measure and 2 beats in. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Repeat. B part. And stop. Okay, good, good, good. First of all, doesn't that just feel wrong to play? Doesn't something just scream at you and you're like, no, no, I went too early. Did I? It's very, very strange. Second, I forget, I made a boo-boo here. The B part does not repeat. And this is really kind of funny. The B part does not repeat, so it's 2 A's, 1 B. So I learned this from Don Petty in 2016 at Kentucky Music Week. And I immediately recorded it the way, you know, I had heard it. And it was this way, without the repeat, just 1 B. And that's the way I played it for the demo. Years later, I played it with him in Lochapoka, Alabama at the Lee County Gathering. And Don, if you know Don has an encyclopedic memory of fiddle tunes, down to the zip code of which they originated from. He's an amazing guy. And he goes, okay, let's go. And when we practiced it, and he goes 2 A's and 2 B's. And afterwards I went, I can't believe I'm about to say this. Don, that's not how that goes. He went, oh wait, and he thought about it, he goes, you're right, it's 2 A's and 1 B. And I went, wow, did that just happen? But you have that much stuff up there, I'm sure. It's like, so yeah, it is 2 A's and 1 B, so we're only gonna play the B part 1 time, which makes this even screwier as a piece, and no wonder it's so confusing to the concert dancers. So let's go ahead and play through it again. And this time when we get to the B section, we'll play it 1 time, and then we'll loop it around, and we're gonna go ahead and play it from the A section again. So be ready for those weird little 2 measure or 2 beat measures, and then we pop back in. Because at the end of the piece, we've got a measure of 2/4. Technically speaking, even though we have a count-in measure, that opening measure is 2/4 as well. So we actually do have 4 measures of 2/4 in here. So as a crooked tune, it sort of squares, but not really. Okay, here we go from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Repeat. B part 1 time. One, 2, back in. All right, good. What strikes me now, funny, and it's like this song's like Inception, the movie. What strikes me as very Inception-like about this song is that if you listen to the B part, it does repeat within itself. So there are technically a repetition of the B part, but the B part is half the length of the A part. The more, it's like, don't look at it, don't stare at it, just play it and forget you knew anything about it. It's a very odd little tune. Okay, so now we're going to play it through a few more times. I really want to just burn in and saturate the repetition before we do anything else weird with it. So we're going to speed it up just a little bit, so we can really get a sense for how it grooves. So we'll go about this pace. Bum, bum, da dee dum, da 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 dum. So one measure in and 2 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. One. All right, good. All right, so with a song like this, as we're going faster, you can get more of a feel for the groove of the piece. And you see it's got this really weird stutter start thing going on. It just seems like it's always restarting and there's no real groove to it. And the secret to putting a groove into a tune is by accenting beats 2 and 4 if you're playing in 4/4 time. And that'll instantly put a groove into anything. Good example of that would be Wild M. Cabbage. Here it comes again in the Mountain Dulcimer National Anthem. If I play it straight, I'm in DGD, never mind. And I don't want to retune, I'm just being lazy. So I'll go ahead and do it with Old Black Cat. Basically, if I just play straight, you can feel the surging of the time. It keeps restarting. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put accents on 2 and 4. See that? Pa, 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 pa. It's simulating kick and bass drum and snare. Ta, doom, ta, doom, ta, doom, ta. Something we've been very indoctrinated in Western music because we have a lot of very, very square things going on and a very square rhythm. Bass, kick, or kick, snare, kick, snare, kick, snare. So depending on how you count it, you could see the 1, 2, 3, 4 as being kick, snare for beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. Or you could see it as being kick on 1 and then snare on 2. That's a kick, snare. Or slower, boom, kick on 1 and 3, snare on 2 and 4. So what we're really listening to is the crack of it. A good example of this would be listen to just about any song off of Michael Jackson's Bad album and listen to the fact that he didn't really accent the bass. He accented 2 and 4 on whatever it was that was serving as the snare, whether it be a crack of a whip or chains or whatever. It's a lot of ta, 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 ta. His big accent was the afterbeat. When you think about afterbeats, that's what the mandolin or the fiddle player are playing when the lead player is playing. They're doing afterbeats. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's that rhythm that keeps the bounce going and makes people want to dance. Accents on 1 and 3 are more plotting. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's more like you're dancing. It's more like you're marching. It's very very much in place and very rigid and very stiff. 2 and 4, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba, boom, ba. So when you're playing, making that 2 and 4 a little bit louder is going to propel that song a little bit. The other thing that's going to happen here is we're going to have our extra beats. So if we just keep doing, we have my basic rule of thumb is if you've got a clear note, that note is, or that phrase is now pausing, it's sustaining, it's chilling out for at least 2 beats, and that can kill a song beat-wise if you don't have anything happening for 2 beats. So when you see a clear note or a tied note that lasts longer than 2 beats, that's a great place to put in some sort of something just to keep the rhythm going. So far, the rhythm's been very mellow, but we can roll with that. But right when we get to that note, that half note right there, everything kind of stops. So I come in and I do a little extra chigga after beats on the bass and on the middle string. And then the next thing that happens is, which is moving pretty quickly, so I don't need to do anything else extra that. There's another one where it just hangs out. So I come back to my over here, and I'm just filling those in whenever everything else stops. But I'm not doing it on the melody string because the melody is sustaining. We don't want to break that note up. So then I don't do anything here because it's way too busy. And right there I don't do anything. Why? Because that's where it becomes so obvious this song is wrong. It becomes so obvious that something weird is going on that I don't want to fill it up. I can if I really want to, but I want to point out that something weird just happened and then walk it back up and get back into the groove. Right there, I just do one little kick against the bass string. That's going to be at measure 10. This is all very busy. So I could do one of these, double thing at the end, but right there the melody and the rhythm has been so straight that I don't want to break it up with another 8 note, so I'm just going to hit it one time. I come back against the bass string and then right. There again, I don't do anything to accentuate the weirdness of it all and then walk it back in. Let's go ahead and give that a try. You can throw in whatever you want. You can go over the top. You can kick way back, but do explore. And real quick, let's do a little test on this whole selective strumming thing on the bass string and the middle string. So,
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
When you do the 2 and the 4, in the measure there, when do you accent it? On the 1 at the beginning?
Typically at the beginning, I don't accent those. I don't do the 2/4 accent until we get into the actual groove. So it would be measure 1. So I would do a 2. So if you hear the 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the accent.
So it's actually on the 1
when you start the rhythm. On
Yeah.
the one, on measure one.
Yeah.
On the one, the downbeat of one is going to be this. So if you imagine that we've got right there, we've got a half note. That half note's going to take care of beats 1 and 2. So when you hit that, you want to hit the bass in the middle string as if you were hitting a quarter note on the beat 2, not the beat 1. If you put the emphasis on the accent on the downbeat, then you're going to be playing 1s and 3s when you do your accent. So what you're doing is you're actually hitting the downbeat of measure 1, you're hitting the 3. The 3 is a half note, you're hitting the 1 of the half note, but you are accenting the 2 of the half note on the bass and middle only. Does that make sense?
Yeah, kind of.
Here's the downbeat. 1, 2. 1, 2. Not coming back on it, but what I'm doing is I'm playing down into the bass in the middle string to sound the drone, but I'm leaving the melody out of it because I don't want to do this. It's not the old black cat boy or the old black cat dance. It's the old black cat. So I don't want to strum that note again because it puts another note in the melody, which adds another word to the melody or the lyrics. So I'm hitting that bass and middle string so I don't hit the melody string, but it still provides me with a rhythmic punch. Old black cat strum. That's all happening in the first 2 beats of that first measure. Old black cat. Old black cat. Couldn't catch a rat. And it's a rhythm that you'll find yourself getting into. Old black cat. Couldn't catch a rat. Old black cat. Couldn't catch a rat. It's falling in exactly the same place.
Just want to point out that neither the cat nor the rat would have taken this much trouble.
They wouldn't have. They would have given up. Like, we're a union. We want to talk to our rep. All right. Any questions on the rhythm and the accents? So let me go. Put your thumb on the 6th fret on the melody string. So that note doesn't sound like it belongs there, so we'll know when we hit it. So instead of going all the way across the strings, we're going to play down into the strings, hitting just the bass and middle. You'll know you're doing it right when you don't hear the melody string like this. I'm playing down into the strings instead of going across. I'm avoiding that melody string. This is an awesome, awesome tool for keeping your melody from getting broken up. And I'll give you an example of that. I'll retune for the sake of it. But watch, when I want to, I can reach over and grab this melody. And I can grab it whenever I want to, how often, and however I like to, while keeping the engine rolling on the drone. I'll retune for this. It's a good example. Okay, this is Norwegian wood, all strings, all the time. This is the Norwegian wood with selective strumming. I keep the motor running, so if I want to, I can just grab these notes whenever I feel like it. So if I want to be a tease, I can go. But my engine doesn't stop. That engine's got to keep rolling. That's just the power. That's the power plant for your tune. But you don't want to do damage to the melody by staying on the strings the whole time. It's too repetitive. So if those melodies need to sustain, let them sustain, but keep your engine running. And that's what we're doing with Old Black Cat. You're not doing as much. We don't have that much time to hang out on that half note. But what we're doing over here on the bass and middle string are filling in those gaps. So even if the contra dancers don't realize they're not supposed to be dancing to it, they don't realize and pick up on it until it's too late. All right, so let's go ahead. Whatever you think, whenever you get to a clear note, think about doing something extra there on the bass and the middle string. You don't have to do what I'm doing, but do something there just to keep the whole thing from being too staggered. Yeah.
Where we're playing the melody, just on the melody string, in the DGD, can you take this technique and use it in DAD tune?
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
Get that different tone by doing get that great sound.
Absolutely. It's a more dynamic way of playing. It's a different way of looking at how you do things, because we tend to think of this as a dulcimer, and it's got a dulcimer fretboard, and we're playing these strings because it's all attached to the dulcimer. But if you think about these strings as three separate instruments, the bass is a bass player, the middle is a rhythm player, and the melody as a separate soloist, then you start teaching or treating the instrument as different instruments, and you get more dynamics in your playing. So sometimes the partial strum, it's hard to have that much restraint because we only have three strings to work with. If we drop a string out of the equation, suddenly we're playing intervals, as opposed to a guitar player who can go from a full-bodied six-string chord to a lesser voiced five-note chord to a four-note. They've got much more options. We start dropping strings, all of a sudden we're losing volume and sustain and all the other things. So, but it's good to get sort of partial. Sometimes you play across a couple of strings so that you have the song do a dynamic dip, and then it has a way to go back to full-voted drones and full-throated chords.
So all of the simple jam tunes that everybody knows and plays, just by switching over to this tuning and doing some of the parts?
Oh, as far as switching over to the tuning, no, that's a little bit more involved. As far as going from DAD to DGD, you'll have different chord shapes from that.
Not the chord shapes. If the melody is just on the melody string on a simple jam tune.
Yeah. You can do it on this, yeah. In fact, this tuning...
But you'd want to play with others playing jamming in DAD, but if you wanted to take that tune and dress it up like we're doing this one.
Yeah, and it's an easier way to play in G, too. DGD is great, because remember, your scale starts the 3rd fret through the 10th fret now. So it's a quick and easy way to get your dulcimer into G without having to capo into 3 and lose 3 notes, or 6 notes, down there. So it's a fun little tuning. And you can play any DAA or 155 tab in this tuning. So if you've got a club that doesn't like to retune and they're not really fond of trying to go all the way down to DAA, try DGD and read DAA tab. It works just as fine. And it's cool. It's a voicing of the dulcimer we don't get to hear an awful lot of. So when you do hear it, it's like, ooh, that's different and neat,
That's where it's interesting too, because D and G are 2 different keys, but when you play DAA or DGD, you're playing in the same mode, which just blows people's minds. It's great stuff.
It is stuff. Let's go ahead and ring through this a couple more times, because we still have another tune to jump into. And this next one is the barn burner. All right. About this fast. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count 4 beats and then 2 beats in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. on the bass string. Last time on the melody. All right, nice, nice, nice. That is such a fun tune. And it's not one that pops up in jams ever. It probably won't. But well, it depends on what jam you go to. Mountain Dulcimer jams, not so much.